Okay, hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's gonna be an Edwardnew type deck. I've showed it off multiple times, so I know you guys probably know about it, but I know people get upset when I don't do it in every single video. So there's two different strategies. If you're playing against a non-blue deck, then you're just gonna take all your life as fast as you can, and sometimes you'll have Edwardnew up before you have all your life, but if you don't, you don't. But basically, there's very little to do in this deck except play against blue and play safe and stay under 5 cards and stuff like that. So we have Otama. We play 4 of Otama, 3 of Sanji, 4 of Nami, 4 of Edwardnew, 4 of Jozu, 2 of Portgas, 3 of Makino, 3 of Marco, 4 of Izu, 4 of Marco, 2 of Monkey D. Luffy, 5 of Monkey D. Luffy, 2 6 cost Sanji, 1k counter, and 4 of Radical Beam, and 3 of Guard Point. So the really big thing about this deck is that you can do a lot of different stuff and you don't really do much. So if we don't play against a blue deck right here, and if we do, I won't. But if we play against a blue deck, I'll play as body as I can and just show you guys how close at least I can get. And I probably won't win off of it, unless I just get lucky enough. But I mean, I have won multiple times just off of doing one strategy. So they're not playing blue, so they're not really gonna mess with my hand size. So I'm just gonna keep this. I don't care what my hand is to start. It'd be nice if I could find Edwardnew or some searchers, but if I don't, I don't. And pretty much everything inside this deck is searchable except every single thing in this deck is actually searchable off of 2 different targets, but that's fine. So I'm just gonna pass my turn because I don't care that much, and I don't really want to play out Sanji because I don't have to be extra aggressive. Like if I was playing against 6 cost Monkey D. Luffy, I'd be a little more worried, but I'm not, so I'm not really stressing. So he's just gonna do one big swing. This is extra amazing for me because I either way wasn't gonna counter out of it. Not gonna use trigger, just getting extra draw because I'm really drawing extra when they swing at me. So the most honestly I would do is go 6, make him have to put out a 2k counter instead of a normal 1k counter, because just getting hand size down would be amazing. And he's putting out 2 1k counters, what I think is crazy because that deck really needs them. And then we're just going to pay 4 for a 6k character, and then we're just going to pass. And you're not going to try and protect any of your characters, you're not going to try and protect your life until you get down 0. There's really not much here, so. And all that took off was a single swing, so I don't really mind. And it also took 1 of his life from him, so. We're just going to go 5 lead. Like normal, and pretty much our whole goal this game is just trying to do more damage and stay above his life or be at the same life as him and just get both of us down to 0 because I'll have more cards realistically than the other guy. You can see just like this, I have more cards than him easily. I have 10 cards, he has 2. I have multiple events just in case he does swing really big later when I have 0 life. I can counter out of it, and then I already have so many 2Ks. Honestly, if he tried to go lethal, like if I had 0 life and he tried to go lethal, he couldn't survive, so. And he's just KOing more stuff, but I don't really mind, even though it kind of does suck, but he's going to probably do 2-7, or he's probably going to do a 6 and a 7 swing, or he's going to go 7-6. 6 with Sabo, 7 with Monkey D. Luffy, and I'm not even going to swing off anything else. I'm just going to swing, his lead. I don't care about anything else. Now, if you're down to 1 life like this, there's no reason not to take it because of how it works. So with how many events I have in my hand right now, I'd want to put me down to about 1 to 2 events max and play down a Edwardnew, but I don't really need to. So his hand size is so small, and this is a really weird deck to go against. But his hand size is so small that I could try and beat him right here, and I probably could. But I think we're gonna go 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna go 7, and then try and use 2 events next turn. So I'm going to get him to 0. He's going to try and do some trigger, but obviously he can't really do much to hurt my side, unless he's just going to trash 2 cards to give himself life. That trigger would kind of suck, just because I would still get him down to 0 off this. But so he hit a searcher, so I'm just going to go 5. And then how much cards does he have in his hand? He has 2 cards. I'm just going to go 8 into lead, and then I win. That's the whole deck, guys. This is super simple. I know it was a 5-minute game, but it's just so simple against these types of decks. The guy didn't really misplay much. The only thing I'd say he misplayed was countering so much. Well, I mean, if he didn't counter, I would have definitely got him down to 0. We'd have a lot of counter in hand, so I wouldn't go so early for lethal. But he countered out with his little guys. He countered out with stuff that I don't think he should have. But I think he thought he was going to have extra turn. Like, I thought he was going to have extra turn, but I was just doing the math. And I was like 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, he could, if he had 2 perfect 2Ks in his hand, then he could survive the swing. But I'd still survive next turn, because even if he used all 9 of his Dawn between all of his characters, I would have countered out with all of these 1s and 2Ks. Because at the end of that game, I had, let's do 1Ks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 1Ks, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 2Ks, and then 4 events in hand. Well, I mean, I went so lethal so fast because he was killing himself. He was dropping his hand. He was reaching very far out for stuff they shouldn't have reached so far out for. It was almost sad. But yeah, that's the whole deck. I don't really want to do a second game. But I do need a little bit more time with you guys, so we will be going and doing a second game. So yeah. We're just gonna reload a new one up. We're just going and doing it. So this is blue. This is gonna suck a lot because if he plays pudding, I lose. But like I was saying earlier, there's 2 separate ways to play. There's playing to keep life and just play down Edwardnew gates, or if you're against blue, then you're worried that they're gonna be playing pudding realistically, and when they play pudding, it really hurts. But if I know that the person's not playing pudding, then I don't really have to worry about it much. So it is a different game in total. So this game, I'm not really trying to keep my life, but I'd like to have it more than being like at set. Right now I'm at 7 cards. Obviously I don't have to worry about pudding because it's 4 Dawn that you have to spend to put my hand down. But I mean, if you have to pay 4 Dawn to trash, because you're not trashing cards, but you're putting them back into my deck, what does hurt me. And I'm taking them from my life, so it is in a roundabout way really sucky. But I'm gonna go 6 to lead, and I'm gonna pay 4 for this guy, this 1K. Now I really like this Edwardnew gate look for myself, and he's not going super aggressive on gameplay because I don't know how his deck works exactly. Set to 1 Dawn card is active from your Dawn deck. So he just uses a giant ramper, that's fine. But it is a little scary because blue doesn't really ramp much. But purple does. So the purple aspect of it isn't scary, but the blue aspect of it is pretty scary. Now he is going aggressive, so I am going to counter it with a 1K because if I'm above a certain amount of cards, he will just pudding me, and obviously that'll really hurt. He's trying to put me down on Dawn, what can also be scary. But I wasn't really off track yet this game, and I'm just trying to hit Edwardnew gate. And I'm 2 turns away from being able to hit Edwardnew gate realistically. So we'll see. I'd be down to 2 life if he took 0 from me, so I can really let him have 1 big swing at my lead and still not be stressing. But he blocked with his blocker. I think here getting a nice Nami search to start, just to know what I'm gonna get, and I get nothing sadly, what's pretty rare because there's so many cards in here that are so good. But it's still a 2K out, and remember 2Ks, I can throw 5 down onto one, throw 5 down onto the other. That's 2 7K swings that I don't really have to stress for. So I'm gonna go 7-8 to start, and I should have done it backwards, but I should have done 7-8 and then thought about it and did like 7-8. But I think I'm fine. I think I'm just gonna try and go for early win. Not this turn, but maybe the next turn if his swings aren't too terrifying. Because I am dying slowly, and he is taking a lot of cards in, and that is pretty scary for me. Now, he did a 6 out of 6, so I normally wouldn't counter out in a normal game, but because he's playing against blue and I want to stay down on cards compared, I do want to play a little different, so he's just playing blockers, what kind of sucks, but I mean, it's slowing down his game too, so. And he's really emptying his hand for it, so that's even better. But if I could just keep the swings pretty big, and if I can also hit a Luffy on my next hand, or even off a life, that would be beautiful for me. And now we can't swing with his leader because it's a 5 on a 6. So, yeah. So, honestly, where I'm at right now, I think I'm just going to keep the 1 Don. I think I'm going to swing 6, 6, and then I'm going to throw in another, I'm going to pay 6 and then swing 6 again. Even though I probably won't even get through his blockers, just getting a lot of swings off on him, and then if I can hit a Luffy later would be amazing. So he's just building a wall so he can start playing a little more aggressive and still have a live turn. So obviously what we just saw there was that he didn't have much counter, so I'm just going to pay 6 for my rush. And obviously he would rather block with his blocker than counter, at least with the last one he did, but we'll see. So he does that again. He'll probably 2k out, or he'll 1 and 1, so that's fine. And then I'll pass, and then I can take I'm gonna be at 9 next. I can take 1 swing from this turn realistically, so he's gonna KO my Luffy or he's gonna KO my Sanji. It doesn't really matter for me because either of them are good. Or he could have KO'd my Nami, but my Nami's not that scary. So he has a nice rush out, and then he's going to go this. I'm going to counter out even for 1, even though it seems really weird. 7, 8, 9, 10. I could keep him alive pretty easily, actually. I'm going to actually let him die, even though I kind of do want to keep him alive. I think I'm going to let him die. So remember, if I could just hit the Luffy at the right time, that would be very scary for the opponent here. So we'll just see. But Luffy, the last one that we were just playing against, is a really hard one to survive against. So that's already pretty impressive. So, yeah. So we're just going to go 6. We're just going to see what he does. Realistically, he'll 2k out, but I'm interested in what he does. Okay. So as soon as I play Edwardnew, my life doesn't disappear for at least that turn. And that gives my leader another 2k. I did want him to counter out compared to taking life or blocking. Normally I wouldn't say that. But yeah, I could have played my Edwardnew and then played that, but I was wondering what he'd do. So he's really emptying his hand, so he's really letting me know how many things he can counter out with. So this turn he can only attack with 1 more thing after this. So I'm actually gonna go 1. I'm gonna swing in with lead for this. Then I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna take. Now it's another Edwardnew. Got really lucky on that. But I should have hit another one by now, so it wasn't too surprising. Now I'm going to pay 9 for another Edwardnew, and then I'm not going to swing with my other 10 costs because I want to be able to kill him in 1 turn. So I'm just playing very non-aggressive onto his face, and I'm just going to pass back to him, and then if he can just... the scariest thing that could happen would be him playing 2 more blockers, like swinging with his Kaido and his Magellan, and then blocking, or yeah, throwing out some blockers. That would suck, just because it would put me down a turn. But that's the most that could genuinely be scary here. And I don't think I'm gonna go 1 more turn of trying to just straight up survive. So I think I think I'm going to counter it with this. That keeps me alive. And then realistically he'll swing with lead for 7 on his 5, so it'll be 12k swing. But we will see, because the other option that I was thinking of is just how many blockers will he play, because his blockers do really matter here. And then I'll just go down to 0, because it's not the end of the world, and then he'll pass to me, obviously. He has 3 blockers, or 2 blockers. He has 0 life. I'm going to go 6 lead. And I'm just more messing with him, because I have my Luffy in hand. So block, block. Now I'm going to pay 5 for Luffy, and I could have went straight through his blockers and just went straight for game, but I didn't really need to, because I knew just getting a couple nice cards out of his hand would be nice. And yeah, I win, obviously, because his deck's built around blocking and swinging and drawing cards. What's really good, but against something that has rush like this deck, it's just not going to work. And I'm not even amazing at this deck. Well, I don't know. I've won at least 20 or 30 tournaments in locals with this deck, so yeah, 20 or 30, 40 games in locals. I've went top 1 3 times with it now, or 4 times, and I've been playing it for not too long. I think the deck's really good. I think it's if you know what you're playing against too, does really change stuff. And I wasn't sure what I was playing against, but as soon as he started to play out blockers, and I could feel for his deck and like feel that he's blocking and all that, my deck kind of just countered it so fast, because as soon as he got down to 0 life, I was like, okay, as soon as I hit a Luffy, I'll win. If I hit Edwardnew, it'd be even better, because I could just build up a board and then swing really hard. And another thing that I wanted to point out is if I didn't have the Luffy and I got through his blockers like that, and I had 10 Dawn, I could have put 10 on my 2k and then swung 12k into his lead and then beat him off that. That's a really big thing, is those 2k bodies and 3ks and 4ks and even 0k bodies can be terrifying because you don't think about it, and Dawn does really matter so much. But I think I'm going to leave it off there. Please follow, please subscribe, please click one of these two top videos I'm going to point at. One of these two up here. Please go check those out. Edwardnew gets such a good card for this deck. I'm trying to max out my deck. And cool announcement that I think I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be running a YouTuber 1v1v1v1 like Commander One Piece tournament with some buddies that do YouTube as well, and then whoever wins gets a shout out on everybody else's channel. And I think I'm already good to just shout out everybody. But yeah, so you guys have a good day, and I'll keep talking about that video that we're going to be bringing out. We haven't recorded it yet. I'm going to start doing local tournaments too, and this is also not going to be online. This is going to be in person, that recording, and we're all going to have our separate recordings, or we may just do one recording, but realistically 4 different recordings. So you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.